Yo, I had to vibe out real quick. Welcome to the Maine Podcast. My main topic, real quick, of today is Chris Paul the real MVP of the NBA? My personal opinion, I think he is. When it comes to a lot of other players in the NBA, Jokic, LeBron, obviously, Ben Simmons, defensively wise, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, those guys had tremendous years this year. But I will say, coming back from a pandemic situation for which they had like a shortened season, they had to come back so fast. So I'm not going to get too much into that because a lot of injuries had happened and a lot of people could have been MVPs other than Jokic. Whether, just say if you had a full season to recover and a full season to play basketball, I think there have just been a lot more MVP candidates than Jokic, the Joker. But at the same time, I will give flowers to Nikola because he definitely played like his heart out, especially after the Jamal Murray injury. But when Chris Paul went to the Thunder last year, and we can talk about last year and the bubbles, a different type of setting and the whole season. But at the same time, Chris Paul and the Thunder were still in the playoff position before the pandemic, before Rudy Gobert said, touched everything and made fun of, the COVID situation. So Chris Paul was on the Thunder and he was balling out with them, like young kids. Alexander Gilgeous, I think it's Gilgeous Alexander. Another guy from Arizona State, I can't even remember his name. That's how good Chris Paul is. After he leaves the team, I can't even remember the names of the other players. Steven Adams, they had him, right? I'm sure he wasn't with the Pelicans yet, was he? Chris Paul is probably, whether you might not think it or not, is probably the greatest leader of all time, even if he hasn't won a championship. Because if you really think about how Chris Paul what he had to go through with Donald Sterling and all that, and injuries on top of that, it's kind of like he's a good example of Chris Paul for me is he's Achilles. That's exactly Chris Paul. He is Brad Pitt and Troy, You call some guy out to lead a group of men, he comes out with that sword and just, yanks it into the biggest dude you've ever seen. That is Chris Paul. David and Goliath, my ass. Chris Paul's 6'2". He's great. He's a good fit to be in the NBA. So, but yeah, he's the Brad Pitt, Troy of the NBA. If you call on somebody to slay LeBron, I would be honest with you, whether or not, if injury or whatever, I depend on Chris Paul more than I would LeBron James, is in the weirdest way. LeBron usually takes like a whole season to kind of get his team to where he needs it to be, whether it's in the whole year, say the whole year he's playing, he kind of has chemistry with his team, a good rhythm the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season, it becomes to who do we need to pick up to make sure we get to the NBA Finals and compete with the other teams in the NBA. So that's LeBron's little thing. Not like the Phoenix Suns didn't do that, but man, when they did the free agency and they had the chance to get Chris Paul and Crowder, they did that exactly. And props to them, throw them their flowers, give them their credit. Monty Williams coming in. It just happened to be a good situation for Chris Paul when he's coming in with the Suns. So what he did with the Thunder and now what he's doing with the Suns, it's like a remarkable thing that he can do it within such a short time. And he's doing it with young people. Let's not forget that Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, all those guys, more Kevin Durant, it took him 10 years just to get to the damn finals. through Supersonics to OKC. It took him like 9 years, really. It took him a good while. And Devin Booker might not even be in that range. He might be in his 7th or 8th, getting there. You know, some of these other guys, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, you know, Alfred Payne, he's been there for a minute. I think it's Peyton. Yeah, it's Peyton. He's been there for not for a minute. He's been in the NBA for a minute and then went to China overseas. But I'm saying he's been in the league. He's been drafted. I would say he's probably been in there probably 4 or 5 years, I'm guessing. But the Suns have a good little team, but Chris Paul helped them out. They were 34 and 39 last year, technically in the bubble situation. To be into that, like to get into the playoffs, like they're not even close to getting into the playoffs. I mean, that 8-game winning streak they had was nice and all, but you think that if they had made it and advanced to the playoffs, do you think they would have had beat the LeBron James and healthy Anthony Davis Lakers, healthy LeBron James, a more focused Kyle Kuzma? And don't let me get started on Kyle Kuzma. Don't get me started. I'd rather had take Brandon Ingram. I almost rather had took Brandon Ingram than Kyle Kuzma, because I think at the end of the day, Brandon Ingram might have been an injury liability, maybe, but maybe, I'm guessing he doesn't really get injured as much, but he's the dude for the Pelicans. But that being said, I still think that for Chris Paul and his team that he's got going on, you know, there's guys that I didn't even think that could, I wouldn't say be in the NBA, but might have been on the practice squad at some point, you know, if Chris Paul never had got there. So, yeah, like again, don't get me started with the Suns thinking that if they had gotten to the playoffs in the bubble, they would have beat the Lakers. Yeah, again, don't get me on Kyle Kuzma. I'm really upset with that. Brandon Ingram is a beast. But on that aspect, you thought they would have even beat Portland maybe, or Houston Rockets, Utah, or the Nuggets? Like, nah. They needed Chris Paul to advance into at least the playoffs, is what I was thinking. I didn't think they'd be second. I thought they'd be like 5th or 7th, you know, where the Dallas Mavericks were, but never in the second place range. So Chris Paul lost. I mean, he didn't lose. He got like barely in the top 5 in the MVP race, but he's second in the Western Conference, which is the hardest conference. He's 5, 6, 8 games above the Nuggets, 5 games or 3 games above the Nuggets. It doesn't matter. They're above the Nuggets. They're second. And then another thing, like these guys didn't even make the playoffs last year. They weren't even like they were struggling. They were like 10th. So you're telling me that the Suns really were that good before Chris Paul? No. Chris Paul is really the catalyst to that team. He really controls the pace. He's Peyton Manning out on the court. I'm surprised if this doesn't happen, mark my word, if it's not the Nets versus the Nuggets. The Nets versus the Suns. If it's the Nets versus the Suns in the finals, I'd be blessed to say Chris Paul to stay healthy. Please, Chris Paul, stay healthy. Because if that happens, I would love to see that fast-paced Nets get controlled by Chris Paul's slow, methodic offense. And his communication skills on defense are tremendously, like, more advanced than any guy on the NBA. Like, even more, I would say, than LeBron. I'd say I compare him and LeBron at the same mark. I just think Chris Paul's a smaller dude, so he can't do the things like LeBron. But man, when it comes to leadership, defense, and offense, Coach Monty Williams can't ask for a better person to lead the team. So you guys got to give credit to Chris Paul. Not saying jokers, when it comes to the NBA, they definitely have a different stance on what MVP is. And to me, an MVP is you take that person off the team, they don't even make the playoffs. Let's put it as hard as that. I think if you take Jokic off the team, I don't think Mike Malone, which he's a great coach, the Nuggets, I'm not saying they wouldn't get there, but with Jamal Murray, I still think they'd be like 7th or 6th, maybe 8th. Because Portland ain't going to play no defense anytime soon. But I can count on some Nuggets to play some defense, which they need to get back at doing to advance in these playoffs. They've been down 3-1 before, so we'll see. But the thing is that Chris Paul is leading kids. He's leading kids. Nobody really does that. Think of anybody in the NBA. I'll wait. That's leading kids in the NBA. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to think. There's nobody out there that I can really think that's leading a team as a veteran and still playing and still producing and being themselves and controlling the pace and scoring when needed at moments and at times. Chris Paul doesn't need to score 18, grab 8 rebounds, and have 6 assists. He doesn't have to do none of that. He doesn't have to absolutely score a point. Chris Paul, all he has to do is demand the best from his team, and he does that from the get-go, from the start of the jump. He puts so much confidence in those guys. That's why Chris Paul's numbers are not going to be where Jokic is at. Of course, Jokic has to do that. He's young, A, and B, he has to do. For the Nuggets, he has to be the main person for everything to work. As for Chris Paul, but Chris Paul can be on the bench and still control the pace of a game by just his voice and coaching with Monty Williams. So that's my take with Chris Paul being MVP. I mean, if you guys got to give somebody his credit, to me, I think Jokic will have his time. If we just want to go be cliche about things, Jokic will have his time, and Chris Paul deserved the MVP this year. It's my opinion. The real MVP. Stats and numbers are great, and Jokic put so much hard work, especially into his body, working out. He's slimmed down to be quicker, but he's still powerful. So, definitely well-deserved, Nikola. And bro, you are the European sensation now. You won one before Doncic. So, I think Dirk maybe, I don't even know. Did Dirk Nowitzki have an MVP? I will have to check. I should know. I know he got his finals MVP. I know that for a fact. But I don't know if he was the MVP of the league ever. It's a good question. But I'm done with the Chris Paul. I definitely think he deserves to be MVP, and hope one day that somebody really recognizes the real hard work, and when he leaves, we'll see what a true point guard really is. Whether if he doesn't even ever win a championship, just put yourself in Chris Paul's shoes when it comes to injuries, Donald Sterling, all that stuff, and it's overwhelming. You have to do rehab and all that stuff. Here's the thing. I want you to note this before I leave on the Chris Paul take. To me, Chris Paul, if I can compare it to our real lives, Chris Paul reminds me of an older person that sees a box on the ground, and they got to get the box and lift it on top of the desk. But that box is too heavy and needs 2 people to carry this box. But Chris Paul just wants to pick up the heavy box and put it on the desk without any help. There's sometimes, Chris Paul, you just got to let the other younger guys do the work for you. Stop getting injured. Whether it was your hamstring and your shoulder with LeBron James, I understand. I mean, some of that looked like a flop, but I mean, I kind of guess if you didn't flop, or whatever happened, you wouldn't hit Cam Johnson and had a stinger on your neck. So a stinger on your neck hurts so much. It takes maybe like 4 or 5. Well, with the NBA treatment, it should take 2 days. But yeah, Chris Paul, stop picking the heavy box up. Let somebody else pick up the heavy box, because you've already picked up so many heavy boxes in your life. So just calm down, chill, coast, Chris Paul, all the way to the NBA Finals, and you be the Kawhi Leonard to Toronto. Be the guy at moments and at times, and be there when it's needed. So Chris Paul, that's my last take on that. Yeah. And real quick, let me get to hold on, let me jam real quick. This is that Mac Miller and Anderson .Paak. Dang. Love that beat. Love this beat. All right. So, my next topic, the main topic of the day, is what concert would you rather go to, Bruno Mars or The Weeknd? And I'll be honest with you, this one was this is not like a rough question, because there's a lot of people that you'd rather see maybe than these two. But if you had a choice and you were stuck in an auditorium and you see there's two arrows, and they're going, one's going Weeknd concert and the other one's going Bruno Mars concert, which one are you going, you know? Don't give me that bullshit, I'm turning back around. You're there, you might as well go. So for me, oh man, it's hard. I'm gonna go Bruno Mars concert. I think Bruno is more of a showmanship. I like him because he has that showmanship like Michael Jackson and Prince and Stevie Wonder kind of, and then he brings this 90s vibe and feel to you. So I'll probably go to a Bruno Mars concert. But if I have a chick or a lady with me, I'm gonna probably go to the Weeknd concert. But at the same time, it's one of those things like, I go to the Bruno Mars concert, she's gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna have a good time. If I go to the Weeknd concert, she's gonna have a good time. I'm gonna have a good time too, because I'm singing the songs, and I know the songs of the Weeknd, but I don't feel like being mellow like all the time. That's why I like his newer music has gotten more what you call hyphy. So shout out to that Blinding Lights. It was kind of an annoying song because everybody kept playing it a lot, but I mean, it's a good song, Weeknd. But if I had a chance, I'm sorry, Weeknd, I'm gonna have to go to Bruno Mars. He just, that's what I like, you know, lazy song, you know. The one with the B.O.B., I can't even think. I almost feel like I know more Weeknd songs than Bruno Mars songs. But I'd just be excited because Bruno Mars just would put on a show. Weeknd, I know, like, Earn It. I'm going as cliche as could be. Die For Me, that's my shit. I think that's with Post Malone. I feel like I like more collabs with artists than just their main album. Sometimes, not all the time. But like, for instance, one of my best collabs would be like Drake and Rick Ross. Like, they're totally different. One kind of rap sings and Rick Ross is grimy and with it, you know? So I like that, but that's why it's so hard to pick if through Bruno Mars's list and then through the Weeknd's list, through all the songs from list to list. Let me see real quick. Let's see what we got. Let's look it up real quick. I appreciate y'all vibing with me. This jam. All right, we got, Talk to the Moon. That's what I like. 24 Carats, Lazy Song, Just the Way You Are, Treasure, Versace on the Floor, Finesse, Grenade, Wake Up in the Sky. Hopefully he won't probably have those people with him, but he'll probably play the song. That's the cool part about concerts, is they'll play songs that they were in, you know, but the artist won't be there or not. They'll just have them like on a big screen or just have somebody else sing them for them. For instance, I went to a Wu-Tang concert. Old Dirty Bastard's son sang all his lyrics on the Wu-Tang's songs. So it was cool. I didn't know I was gonna be indoors and didn't know there was gonna be smoking weed. That would have been awesome. Wish I'd have got that email or message. But yeah. But Bruno Mars, man, these ones are pretty good. I would love, man. Let me see. Let's see what. Those are just the Bruno Mars ones. So I'm just putting that list out, comparing it to The Weeknd. Let's see. Ooh, ugh. Yikes. Ooh, Weekends. We got some good ones. All right, we got Blinding Lights, Save Your Tears, Call Out My Name, damn. Earn It, I Feel It Coming, damn. Hills, I Feel It Coming. I like that one. Hills, Can't Feel My Face, Starboy. Ooh, Elastic Heart, In Your Wicked Games, Die For You. Man. Acquainted, these are so hard. I do know more Weeknd songs. Pray For Me, if he played the Black Panther Pray For Me song, man, all right. I switched over, I'm going Weeknd. Sorry, Bruno. I think, Bruno, you would be fun to tell people about the show. And it was a good vibe, I had a good time. But Weeknd would make it deep, you know. He put some. I've never been to a Weeknd concert. I've never been to a Bruno Mars concert, so it's kind of hard to take a guess on what would be good. Maybe all the songs that Weeknd plays are so. Some of them are low energy, some of them are high energy. I wonder how he mixes it in to make us not fall asleep. That's kind of interesting. So when it comes down, I'm gonna have to change it up, and I'm gonna go Weeknd. I'm gonna go to The Weeknd. I know most of his songs. Remember Me with Wiz Khalifa is like definitely one of my top favorite songs. So I'm gonna have to go Weeknd, then Bruno. But Bruno, you're still up there, bro. Still mad respect. I started off the show with going to you because you are a showmanship. But man, I gotta go to The Weeknd. But I love you guys. I thank you guys for just listening and following, and I appreciate you guys. Just like my grandma always says, if you're going through bad times or any hard, or you have any problems in your life, just remember that's life, and just keep on going and keep on moving. I love you. You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Maine Podcast. Peace.